Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris, a former secretary to the government of the Federation under former President Muhammadu Buhari and a front-line critic of the Muslim ticket of the APC that produced President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima. Engineer Babachir Lawal has in recent times lent his voice on Nigeria's current governance trajectory, the policy options, and their implications on the lives of average Nigerians. Even though a founding member of the All Progressives Congress APC, he supported the candidature of the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, in line with his long-held principle of justice and equity in the distribution of elective positions in the country, which prompted him to dump the ruling party to support the former Anambra State governor. He joins us on Daily Politics tonight to discuss the state of affairs of the nation and share his perspectives on governance, the economy, politics, and most importantly, the situation the North found itself in the scheme of things, among others. Thank you very much for coming to the program, Engineer.
Thank you, Idris.
We're happy having you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
But before the conversation, here are some tidbits. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has written to the House of Representatives seeking the preparations and approval of a 24.6 billion promissory notes to reimburse Nasarawa and Kebbi states on the costs of their airports taken over by the federal government. Nasarawa is to be reimbursed 9.5 billion, while Kebbi is to be reimbursed to the tune of 15.1 billion. In the letter read by the Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, who presided over the plenary on Thursday, the President said the takeover of the airports was in line with Item 3 of the second schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which placed the ownership of airports and other aviation-related infrastructure in the exclusive list. And elsewhere, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has told President Tinubu-led federal government that its move to use Nigeria's 20 trillion naira pension funds to rev up economic growth by financing critical infrastructure projects across the country is not good. He described the move as another attempt to perpetrate illegality by the federal government, adding that it must be cautioned to act strictly within the provisions of the Pension Reform Act 2014, PRA 2014, of course. He added that the initiative is misguided and could lead to disastrous consequences on the lives of Nigeria's hardworking men and women who toiled and saved and who now rely heavily on their pension, having retired from public service. And it is now time to take a short break, and when we return, our conversation with the former SGF commences. Don't go away. Welcome back. Engineer, once again, welcome to our studio.
Thank you very
Normally
much.
we start with major issues of the day, and today we wake up to this news that the federal government is going to issue promissory notes in order to reimburse Nasarawa and Kebbi states that have built airports. Is that a priority?
Well, I don't know. Why would Nasarawa need an airport when it is just about 100 kilometers from Abuja and almost the same distance from Plateau? And except that these governors, they like their comfort too much. So maybe the governor doesn't want to travel by road when he stops in Abuja and so on. But
he said it is partly cargo airport also.
Cargo to where? What cargo is there?
They will export food items.
And
Nasarawa rich in minerals also. They have uranium. They just rounded up their economic summit today.
I think to me, my priority would be a railway. To evacuate mineral products, the ideal thing would be railway. And if they want to, if they had asked my advice, I would say they should extend the railway to Nasarawa for evacuation of mineral products. Even if it's for the evacuation of perishable agri-products, Abuja is not far away, Plateau is not far away. In the case of
Kebbi.
In the case of Kebbi, it's sensible, even though if sensible economies will encouraged that Kebbi uses Sokoto Airport, which predates Kebbi. But these days, these governors, they do what they like, and depending on their connection with the presidency, they get their reimbursement. So, but
then it has happened.
So why were they building airports when they know it's on the exclusive list? Why were states building airport if they knew it's going to be? It is already on the exclusive list.
Now that it has happened,
yeah,
there is nothing we can do now. But they will be reimbursed. If you are to now offer, advice to Governor of Kebbi State and the Governor of Nasarawa State, where do you think they should channel this money? Because it's huge. Kebbi around, 15 billion.
They will channel it the way they usually do. They will take it to the Bureau de Change and change it to dollars. That's what governors do. Every time they finish their FAQ, where does the money go to? They go to the Bureau de Change or Zone 4 and change it to dollars.
Are you trying to create a nexus between the dollar shortage and activities of some of these chief executives?
Obviously, that is where the dollar shortages come from. Those who have access to stupendous amount of government money, when they appropriate it for themselves, they convert it to dollars.
Honestly, Engineer, we've been hearing of this for a very long time, but not from, let me say, horse's mouth.
I'm not the horse.
Well, somebody who has ears and listen in serious quarters. So why are they converting Naira to dollar?
It's easier to keep the dollar than the Naira. You remember in those days, people used to keep stolen money in overhead tanks, in sewage tanks, and so on. But the dollar is it's small.
Portable.
It's portable. And most of the problem with the currency that we are facing is because of people who have appropriated for themselves the government money. I have the thinking that government itself benefits from the fall of the Naira.
How?
Because when the country earns dollars and they repatriate it to change it into Naira, we spend Naira in Nigeria. The FAQ is shared in Naira. So when they convert the dollars into Naira, and they get more Naira to share. So the major speculators for dollar are the governments. Because these days they share 1.4 trillion, they share 1.5, 1 trillion, 2 trillions at the FAQ. Where do you think the money comes from? It's from the dollar that they bring in after we've earned it, they convert it at the exchange rate that is. So it benefits them that the exchange rate is higher. It benefits the state governors that Naira has fallen, therefore they get more Naira for each dollar that is being shared at the FAQ.
Then who will save the Naira now?
Those who are going to save the Naira are the beneficiaries of the fall of the Naira. You don't have dollars to...
Not at all.
So I don't have dollars to sell. He doesn't have dollars to sell. So who benefits from when the dollar falls? It is those who spend in Naira, huge spenders in Naira.
But we see them storming Bureau de Change offices, arresting them, putting them behind bars.
Camouflage.
So those guys are innocent, maybe in your estimation.
Why did they get the dollars? The man at the Bureau de Change doesn't get the dollar. He gets it from the central bank. He gets it from legitimate sources, or other sources other than central bank. But so.
All right. Now the pension issue. Government wants to now dip its hand, big hand, into the pension service to provide critical infrastructure. Will you support that?
Pension is a savings by retirees. It's a savings. And my elementary knowledge of it is that the pension commissions, organizations invest this money so it has earned some more profits and sustain the... Now, if government is going to borrow, we're going to appropriate. I don't know, you say borrow, did you say borrow?
Yes, they say they will borrow, invest in critical infrastructure that will generate revenue, then they will pay back. One,
are they going to pay back the money they borrowed at what interest rate are they borrowing from the pension funds? That is one. At what interest are they borrowing these funds? Two, are they going to pay back? Are they not going to be able to muzzle their employees? The pension funds are investable funds by the pension organization. So if government is going to borrow it at an interest rate that is reasonable for the pension organization, it makes sense. It's okay. But it's doubtful if government will borrow that money at a very reasonable interest rate and pay back. Now, how is government going to pay back? Critical infrastructure that will earn revenue for the government, or what? What you are going to invest that money on must be able to recover the money so you can pay back the money you borrowed. So if all you do is raise money from the pension funds, share it again, take it to the broad exchange and collect it into dollars, that's nothing. That's the issue. We borrow money, we don't know where the money goes to. We remove fuel subsidy and we say we save money, but we don't know where the saved money goes to.
Well, they said maybe by May 29 they will, display CNG buses, EVs, and all that.
They will display for who?
For you and me and others, Nigerians.
They will buy and give us, or what?
For public mass transportation.
Last time they gave the state governors money to buy buses, isn't it?
Yes.
They call it palliative, isn't it? I've seen one bus.
In Abuja or?
No, in my state.
Adamawa.
In Adamawa state.
One.
I've seen one bus flying my Mubiola. I took note of the number. I saw one. I've not seen any other one, but I've seen a bus every time I go to Yola. I pass through to my village. I could see.
Is it diesel powered or CNG?
I don't know whether it's diesel or not diesel, but sometimes we go for exotic solutions that don't make sense. The other day I was talking to one of the ministers when I was complaining about the cost of diesel, which I spend on tractors. Every week I spend about 75 liters of diesel.
In your farm?
On my farm. And that's a lot of money at 1,700 Naira per liter. It has come down now. But just before yesterday I bought 2 drums of diesel, which is 50 liters. I bought it at 700,000 Naira.
700,000.
700.
And it lasts for how many days?
1 week, if I'm lucky. If all the tractors are working, it lasts me 1 week. If I need to use it as a generator, I need about another. That's why I need the third drum. So now, when I was complaining to him, he said, "Convert your tractors to CNG." I'm an engineer; it will make sense. Then I asked him, "Way there out there in Adamawa, in Hong local government, where do I get the gas to refill the CNG? Where are the CNG?"
That is the compressed natural gas. The
compressed natural gas. Where am I going to get it? If I'm going to Kaduna from here and I run out of gas between Abuja and Kaduna, where do I branch to go and refill my CNG? So the infrastructure must be on the ground.
Are you trying to say they are putting, the horse before the cart?
It's typical of this government. They talk grammar. And then it fizzles out in terms of implementation. We should have seen the filling stations first, the refilling stations. Let's see them all over the place.
You are an engineer. It was yesterday or day before when President Tinubu ordered that ministries, agencies, parastatals should all buy CNG buses.
Yes.
Is that easier to do compared to maybe having the infrastructure? And why do you think he opted for the vehicles first?
He's putting the cart before the horse. Let us see the infrastructure for refilling the gas. If I go and buy a car, if I convert my car to CNG, maybe in Otako here there's somebody that does it, and I do it. When I run out of the gas on my way to Kefi, what do I do? Of course I will run out of the gas, isn't it? What do I do? Park the car and come back to Abuja with the cylinder on my head to fill and go and put it back. So there must be filling stations along the road.
And when you compare it, is it really affordable, the much hyped CNG? Because I don't really know how much a liter, or is it?
The argument is that it's cheaper and more efficient. That's the argument. But I've seen vehicles that use gas. I remember sometimes back, I was in most of the Dangote trucks.
Yes.
They carry hefty cylinders, and when I ask one, I say, oh, that is CNG. But even there is dual purpose, dual system. When you run out of CNG in Mubi, you can go to the filling station and buy gas. I mean, that's how they do their own. It's dual purpose. So, first of all, put the infrastructure on the ground. It's like when they are hyping electrical vehicles. You charge your vehicle. When you run out of charge on the highway or somewhere, it's not like there's a filling station you branch and they recharge. So if you are going to go into things like that, put the recharge stations first as a priority. Don't buy the vehicles before you start to put the infrastructure for recharging. Put the infrastructure first, then buy.
Maybe some people are looking for the contract, what comes out of it. And it's easier than to build the infrastructure.
You know, we're having a government run by Lagosians.
How do you mean? Yes, we are now going deep into the conversation. Yes, state of the nation.
We're having a government run by Lagosians, and Lagosians, you know, shakara is too much. Grammar. They are very well known for that type of thing. You know, fanciful things, you know, which in practical terms outside Lagos, it doesn't work.
How do you mean? And that is where I want to start the real conversation of the day, state of the nation. They have won. We'll go back later.
They didn't win. They rigged themselves in. They are in government, yes, but don't tell me they have won.
But even court declared that Tinubu won.
Which court?
The Supreme Court.
If you can rig election of 200 million people, about 100 million registered voters, what are 7 judges?
Are you indicting the judges also?
I'm not the first to do it. I mean, judges, they've done their job. But as they say, justice must be seen to be done.
Now, do you see Tinubu as your president, Shettima as your vice president?
I don't have to see them for what they are. I know the villa very well. I know the office of the president. I know the office of the vice president. They are sitting on those chairs. So whether I see them or not is immaterial. But they are sitting on those chairs. They are riding the presidential jet. They are making policies. And so it's immaterial whether I see them as...
Okay, what is your take on their takeoff?
Takeoff?
Yes, when they were sworn in on May 29, they have constituted their cabinet. We have ministers now. It is now 1 year, engineer. How far so far?
I can only repeat what I said before.
Okay, what is it?
I've spoken on this before.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, I did say one time that you come into government on the day you were inaugurated, after swearing in, you embark on the first major policies that has been very impactful on the life of the citizenry. Like a cowboy, macho man. I've removed subsidy on petroleum.
That was his statement, the president.
Yes, I saw it as macho. At that time, you didn't have Minister of Planning who would have planned the outcome, the consequences, mitigating circumstances. You don't have the Minister of Finance who will calculate the impact of this on the society or on the economy or the finances of the country. You don't even have a Federal Executive Council that will approve that. You have nothing. But as at that time, there was nothing. Nobody to advise, nobody to work out the what-ifs of this big policy. So immediately after that inauguration, Nigeria collapsed. Collapsed. Nigeria is like a balloon.
That one is heavy.
Yeah, amazing. Nigeria collapsed. Nigeria fell down. It collapsed like you deflated. Completely, immediately, transportation tripled. Immediately, that week, I used to buy animal feeds for my cows from Zaria. I used to pay 270,000 per truck. Immediately, that week, I couldn't buy anymore because transportation alone was going to cost me 1 million naira.
That's times 4.
Yeah, that times 4. So I couldn't afford it. And it's reasonable. Cost of fuel just jumped up. Everything, of course, is related to fuel, transportation. Last week, I bought some equipment, tractor for my farm. I wanted to transport it to Yola. from Kano. They were asking me for 3 million naira to transport 3 tractors on a trailer.
Is it 3 trailers that will convey or just
one trailer carrying 3 tractors? I mean, low bed, not low bed, you know.
Yeah.
They were asking me for 3 million naira. Everything has gone up. I just bought 4 bags of groundnut seeds from Institute of Agricultural Research's area to transport it. They're asking me for a small pickup, sir, 500,000. So everything just collapsed on the basis of the cost of food. Everything. For a long time, in my place, we were unable to sell grains because the transporters, they used to come with trailers to Mubi, to our local markets, to buy these grains, to Kano, to their rice, to their needs. Nobody was coming because the transporters could not go spend that money on fuel, buy maize, go back to Kano and sell it at a profit. People could not buy. So that policy alone crashed everything.
What were your expectations? Assuming maybe you have your way, will you not do the same? Because the previous government said subsidy must go. In fact, since the 70s, people have been saying subsidy must go.
You are forgetting that at one time I was a part of the government.
When there?
Yeah, we used to have a running battle with the president, Buhari. Buhari will give a very simple explanation as to why it will not be good to remove subsidy. Because Buhari will relate it to the masses. He's able to relate the consequence of that on the poor man. And by the time he explains it to you, you yourself, you have to sympathize with his position. Because the masses will suffer. Prices will go up. Let me tell you now, because of all this related to transportation, and maybe later we'll come to exchange rate, which is also related to it. Now, fertilizer.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you. We'll take just a short break.
Okay.
Yes, because we'll be back shortly, please.
Who managed to crack the Ajakuta problem?
That's a good question. I didn't. Nobody has so far done it. Ajakuta is still very much on the agenda of the present administration of President Tinubu.
I will not say those allegations are far-fetched. There are some element of truth in them. But then so long as we keep on accommodating those kind of characters in the judiciary, I think we are doing a lot of disservice to the nation.
Under what circumstances did you leave United?
It's not easy to see the system very well if you are in it. But I felt that there were a lot of demands made on a company like United. Some people felt that this country belonged to them. They would have to take whatever they want, or rather whatever they ask for.
First and foremost, people make the mistake of thinking that attitudes should change from National Orientation Agency. What National Orientation Agency does for government, there are so many unseen. They have special report. They have so many reports they send to government.
Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have in the studio Engineer Babachir Lawal, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation. You wanted to say, of course, subsidy is not sustainable, but Buhari dragged, he foot dragged. Can we say he flung us into where we are?
No. In government, in society, generally speaking, you prioritize what is the purpose of government. It's to serve the citizens, make their life easier, make their life comfortable, peaceful, live in peace, in harmony, and in prosperity. Now, any decision that is going to endanger that, endanger the peace and harmony of the citizenry, endanger the prosperity of the citizenry, endanger the ability of the citizen to eat and live well. As a government, you should be circumspect. You should be careful. That is your whole aim. It's not about textbook economics. It's not about balancing the books. It's not about all that. It's about the citizen must, in the end, be comfortable, live peacefully, live healthy, in a way that guarantees his own safety so that he could do whatever he wants to do within a peaceful environment. All these things are very important. Now, if a government, let's say take this subsidy removal, for example, sensible governments, this is not the first government to remove subsidy on petroleum. We have ample evidence going backwards. Sensible governments.
Partial removal for others. I think this is the first government to remove it.
Yeah, but even the partial ones, they tried to, ameliorate the suffering and the negative consequences of that partial removal. I remember Babachir with his PTF. And today, even today, you still see the signs of the PTF, the work they did with that money. That was Goodluck Jonathan, was it? Or was it Obasanjo that did Shopee? They tried to do the same thing with the money that they saved from the increase in the petrol price.
But these people, they also do palliative.
Well, I don't know.
They keep showcasing it, and we are going to see a lot of advertorials. To say that they have done.
I have just told you, part of the palliative, they said they were going to give transportation to the masses. In my state, I have seen one bus going up and down.
Okay, Injit, I want to ask, because you were part and parcel of the formation of the APC.
Yes.
You were part and parcel of the take-up of the APC.
Yes.
Tinubu, if you say he rushed, it's like you people didn't do anything.
Rush what?
To now make some proclamations, make some policy decisions. Under your government, you were part of the Buhari administration up to 2017. It took Buhari almost a year. You were part of that government before forming cabinet. Can we say maybe you laid the foundation of the mess that we are here today?
Well, the thing with governance is the way I see it.
Yes.
In Nigeria, we make a mistake. We don't hold them up to their manifesto. The reason is very simple. We elect somebody president. Maybe the party is a manifesto. We elect him president. He goes into that villa and he sits there and he starts to think he has become a little god.
Are you making reference to Buhari or to Tinubu?
Everything with government. Everything with government. Okay. Everything with government. So once you are there, nobody holds you accountable anymore, because you are the one that dispense with the favors. And once you are favored, you have arrived. It's like as if you are out of the poverty circle. So everybody wants to worship the leader, and few are able to look in the face and say, Oga, this is wrong. Oga, this is what.
But have you looked into Buhari's face and say we are delaying formation of cabinet? You are an insider. I want to know honestly, because our readers, and viewers, of course, they want to know what delays the formation of Buhari government.
First of all, General Buhari, I used to call him General, I prefer to call him.
Yes.
He was in government. He had been in government for long. As a minister, as a governor, and as a president, or head of state, and then a second time as a president. So, my personal knowledge of Buhari is that he's not somebody with a very wide circle of friends. He's a very purpose-driven person. He has little leisure, he has little. So, and he's somebody that trusts. He trusts. And he needed time to get the people that he could trust. Because Buhari's management style is, I assign this responsibility to you, I trust you will do it the way I would have done it if I were you. You know, it's straight, honest, sincere. So he needed people who he can trust that way. And it took time. I'll give you a funny story that happened. One day I was gisting with this President Bola. I was gisting with him, and he said, he said, this government, you know, by that time people were calling Buhari Baba go slow.
Yes.
So he says, this government, he told Buhari, he was narrating to me. He said, Bidi, this government is like a pilot that drives an aircraft to the takeoff point and switches off the engine. Nothing was moving. And he started saying that we must work on Buhari. Two people that he needed at that time was the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Chief of Staff. And Bola would tell me, if he gives us these two people, we don't need to go to him, we can walk through these two people, which is the truth. Eventually,
Tinubu told you.
Tinubu told me, yeah.
This was before your appointment as SGF.
Yeah, you know me, I wasn't expecting to be SGF.
What were you expecting?
Nothing. I'm a businessman. After the election, I told my boss, I said, look, I went back to my office, painted it white, my consultants painted it white.
Are you trying to say that you did not expect to be appointed?
No, I did not. I did not expect to be appointed. I used to tell my president, I said, look, Oga, what I expect is if you are going to appoint 36 ministers, which was the minimum, Abi,
yes,
there's no way Buhari would appoint 36 ministers that I would not know at least 20.
Which is okay for you?
As a consultant, if I walk into minister number one, I say, I want to do consultancy, or I want to work a job, or you are bidding, can you give me 10 million naira job contract or something like that? By the time I go around 10 million naira contract every month and so on like that, I'm okay. So I went back, and because of my involvement at that politics of APC at that time, all my professional certifications had expired. Project management, change management, business analysis, you know, strategic management, all these are things you need as a consultant to back up your CV. They had expired. So I took off to London to go and renew it. Spent some months. So all this gra-gra about Buhari was this. Is it
that he didn't consult you before he offered you the appointment of SGF?
No, he didn't. Well, I started getting, I got a hint. Later through, actually it was Babachir late. I ran into him in a supermarket. He asked for my number from my brother. Where is your brother's number? He gave me the brother gave me. So he phoned me. He said, why are we not seeing you? You don't keep away from government, from power. This is not how it is done, blah, blah. I said, I'm waiting, I'm preparing to turn to my consultant. He said, no, the man is considering you as SGF. I said, I've never minuted on a file. I've never minuted on
official file.
Any file at all.
But you rose to see general manager because you work in Delta, Rolling Mill.
I was an engineer. My file was a toolbox.
You work on even external communication,
I
right?
was a maintenance engineer. My own is field work, toolbox. Nobody means anything. At the time I left, I was a principal engineer.
But then is that partly responsible for, can we say, because some say you didn't perform well as SGF?
Oh, no, I did. Nobody ever says that. Nobody.
But I'm not saying it.
No. I've never had it. Nobody in Nigeria ever told me. Everywhere I go, they say you are the best SGF.
How best? Because it took time for Buhari to form the government.
Yeah, eventually he did.
When he did that, some are saying that it is a lost opportunity, especially for the North. I know you are passionate about the North.
Yes.
And they said Buhari laid the foundation for the ruins of the North. Could that be correct?
I don't know what they mean by that.
Okay, but are you satisfied with how Buhari handed over the North to Bola Tinubu?
I know Buhari very well. There are so many things I know about him as a person that even if Buhari is a very patriotic person, very extremely patriotic.
But how patriotic, looking at the level the North is now?
Buhari would not go out to undermine the North. There was a time I mentioned something. I was not happy when eventually the cabinet was formed. And I mentioned it just in passing. The southern ministers, former governors, former ministers, everybody, big people who had been there. Then you come to the ministers from the north, small girls, people who had never held, everybody, young boys. And I said, okay, these people, they are just going to be interested in making enough money to go and become governors in their states.
You told Buhari?
Yes. I said, this is young. We are too young. We have no experience. So when Fashola comes to the cabinet with all sorts of procurements, all based in the southwest or something, they know what they are doing. Or when Minister of Science and Tech comes, he was a governor.
Let Obonaya,
Ongige, all these people, or Kayode, all these people from there. There were people, but you come to us, CBD Lawal, engineer, you see who again, Hadis Rika, Ajia, this girl from Sokoto, all of us, except for maybe this lady from late Aisha Abubakar, who died now, the Minister of Women Affairs, who was a senator, and he was a
Mama Taraba.
Mama Taraba was a registrar, chief registrar of
could that be the reason why the North still doesn't have anything to show to say that, okay, because look at Abuja-Kaduna Road. We are unable to complete it in 8 years. Of course, you left
now the thing is this.
Yes.
If a president like Buhari will not deliberately go out of his way to do anything that would be considered selfish or favoring anybody. There was this story, I'll give you an example. When I was some years back, I heard how Daura, people used to die during flood. I took interest because I thought Daura was a desert. But annually there was this flood in which young boys drowned and so on and so forth. So I had this idea that it's an ecological problem. Why don't we go and fix it? As the ecological department was in my office. Why don't I fix it? He refused. He took out of it. I said, sir, in your time, when there's something to share, you give it to the other person first. It's the remainder that you carry. If it doesn't remain, you are doing. I say, look at Mina. Look at Abuja-Mina Road today. It's one of the worst roads in the country. They had produced Minister of Works in the late Kwantagora. They had produced the Minister of FCT in Gadonasco. They had produced President Babangida. They had produced Abdul Salam. But they could not, out of this type of bringing of the olden days people, they didn't bother fixing their assessor. In our time, things have changed.
You told Buhari.
I told us things have changed. Yeah. And in any case, people of Daura should not suffer just because the president comes from there. Allow me to do this. He reluctantly allowed that. Of course, when you present it in the Federal Executive Council, the scenario changes. Everybody says, no, we should do it. This is the president's house. Everybody does eye service and unanimously support it. So these are the issues. As a president, as a good leader, you should try to be fair. However, a situation arises in which your subordinates do not share your view. I mean, your subordinates, if a Minister of Works does not see anything wrong in making sure most of his procurements, these substations, new transformers, new distribution lines, new transmission lines, new roads, if they are restricted to the southwest because it's from there, you have to be more proactive in checking it. And it was my duty as the Secretary to the government to see that equity is done across the board. Because the Secretary to the Government, the Cabinet Office, is in the Office of the Secretary to Government, and I present the memos to the federal government. So I could phone the minister and say, Minister, 8 projects, all in the...
Have you done that before you left?
I do it. By the time I was driven out of the cabinet, I think everybody wanted me out.
No one wanted you out?
Yes, because I'm not one to allow that.
But many believe that you went overboard.
With what?
Look at the issue of the maybe corruption allegations they level against you. Maybe that was why you left the government. And some are saying, why did Buhari allow it to happen?
It's his style. It's his life. I'm not the only one. It's his life. That's his style. I'm sure it's one of his weaknesses. Buhari knew that they were getting me out so that they could get at him because I was his shield.
Are you saying it's not that you committed an offense?
No, look, my friend, they said I gave my company, or a company under me, which I was to be a managing director.
Roller Vision?
Yes, got a contract of 7.2 million Naira consultancy.
But it's your company, Roller Vision.
No, but I had resigned. They didn't want to hear that, but the documents were there. Why did the court decide to discharge me? The court eventually said we didn't even have anything to defend.
So you're now saying maybe it was because of your uprightness.
They wanted the position so they could do what they did eventually. And well, they got the position.
Assuming you were there, will Buhari have fell in court?
Huh?
Yes, because by the time he left, many people believe that he left behind wallowing Gov't.
No,
that is paying a price.
Let me tell you one thing that happened after I had left.
Okay.
I am scrupulously fair in my life and just. I try to be scrupulously just and fair and equitable in what I do. It was the duty of the, I don't know now, in my time,
yes,
it was the duty of the Secretary to the Government of Federation to make recommendations for appointments, political appointment to the President. And before I would make any appointment, my permanent secretary had already given me a chart of the existing positions held by everybody from each state, from each geopolitical zone. Now, to be sincere, by the time we got into government, because my predecessor was from the Southeast, they were already all over the place in category A, parastatals, category B, parastatals, and so on and so forth. Now, so what I would do, I'll bring a table, and I will see this man, this state is short, this state has too many. Then I will make a recommendation. And of course, I will also call the permanent, I had a very excellent permanent secretary. He will normally bring the enabling acts for that position, and we will read it. And it might say this position needs to be advertised before you can employ it. Just things like that. But in any case, I'll take it to the president, and he will look. If you might ask question, why did you do this? I say, I know, sir. You know, these people, they don't have. You know, these people, they don't have this. Sometimes he too will bring up the matter. I say, these people, like, I say, sir, I want to fill this position of PTDF, Executive Secretary. It's very specific. He says, SGF, I say, sir, I don't want this position to go to people who are already dominating educationally. This position should, as much as possible, go to a state that is educationally disadvantaged. Because we know Nigerians, they will always assist their own people. It was a very sound decision, isn't it?
Yeah.
And eventually that position went to Zamfara. One day I went to say, hey, Jeff, that position we're discussing, see this. So I know the man, sir. He was one of the intellectuals in APC, the people behind things like that. So that is how Buhari is. But so as long as I was there,
you did your best. Now, what is your relationship? Because we're rounding up the program.
No,
what is your relationship with Buhari now?
Buhari is my boss. He's the only person in the world I call my boss.
And you still hold him in high esteem?
Extremely high.
Okay, now the Tinubu administration, we are rounding up, and I have so many questions to ask. If you are to rate it now, it is exactly 1 year.
There's nothing to rate there.
How do you mean?
Zero. You don't rate zero.
They did not perform at all.
In what area do you think they have performed? In bringing misery and suffering to Nigerians? In a cavalier manner? They continue to tax. They bring policies that impoverish. You know, now, as I was trying to tell you, fertilizer is 37,000 naira per bag. Buhari's time was 7,000.
So when Babachir, for instance, he has said it severally that you will be longing for Buhari. Are you one of those who are longing for Buhari?
No, I don't long for Buhari. I don't long. Buhari's tenure is 8 years. The constitution says 8 years. What do we long for him?
Okay, but do you think Nigerians are longing for him now?
Why would they long for somebody who has done his own part and gone?
What will you say about the coastal highway? They have paid 1.something trillion. They have approved another one yesterday.
I have nothing against it. What I know is that in most developing countries, or in any country at all, what should happen is all states along the coast, the first thing, the best thing would have been to develop the waterways.
Okay.
From each port, major port, take a railway, take it to the hinterland. But use ferries, boats from Lagos to Sapele, to Koko, to Wari, to Patani, all those.
So you think they ought to have done certain things before investing heavily?
We ought to have developed the waterways first for water transportation.
And I think about 31 or 32 states are linked by water.
Yeah, because this road thing is, give it 5 years, the road is gone bad. Because what you are trying to do now is, if it's for ferrying goods by trailers, it's a disaster. Because give it 2-3 years, potholes start to come up on those roads.
Engineer, finally, Atiku, Obi, Saraki, they met. Are you part of them?
No.
Will you be part of them?
Of course, well, when the time comes.
But do you think they will make a difference?
Atiku is my uncle, my brother. You know, it's my state.
But why did you support Peter Obi instead of him? From Adamawa, you're from Adamawa, but you went to Anambra and picked Peter Obi.
Yes, because Anambra too, they are entitled to producing the president. Because first of all, I was one of those who championed ab initio that the presidency should now come from the south. I had done that. I had even gone around at my own expense, gone around long before the matter became an issue, spoke to key political officers, help us get a president from the south.
All right.
So if I have fallen out with Bola Tinubu, I should look for another southerner, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now, next election, the president will come from the north.
You want the president to come from the north?
Not one. It will come. It should come from the north.
We'll definitely bring you back to the studio to discuss this. Engineer Babachir Lawal, we thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you very much.
And we thank you for your informed perspective on national issues. Yes, viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, airing every weekday, our special package on Friday, during which we open the telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Once again, I'm Hamza Idris. Bye-bye for now.